Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a really cool story. How a super simple idea, just making a snack you could actually see, completely turned an industry on its head and built a massive billion-dollar brand.
Okay, so to really get just how big of a deal Kind was, we gotta hop in a time machine. Let's go back. Picture it, it's 2003. You're hungry, you're in a store, and you're trying to find a quick snack that isn't terrible for you. And your options? Yeah, they were not great. So on one side of the aisle, you've got these dense, kind of chalky energy bars. You know the ones. They're functional, sure, but they taste like something made in a lab. Then on the other side, you've got those super sugary, crumbly granola bars that are, let's be honest, basically candy bars in disguise. It was this crazy false choice. You could either get fuel or you could get flavor, but neither one really felt like you were eating, real food. Something was definitely missing. And this is where it all starts. The founder of Kind, Daniel Lubetzky, he looks at this whole situation, all these snacks hidden behind these shiny, mysterious wrappers, and he asks this incredibly simple yet totally profound question. Why can't I see what I'm about to eat? Why aren't these snacks proud of their ingredients? And look, this question didn't just pop into his head because he was hungry. No, Lubetzky was driven by something much, much deeper. He was a man on a mission, and that mission was about to shape everything. You see, Daniel Lubetzky is the son of a Holocaust survivor, and because of that, his whole life mission was about building bridges and, well, making the world a kinder place. He brought that exact same mindset to business. When he looked at that snack aisle, he didn't just see bad food, he saw a lack of trust, a lack of transparency. So his idea? It was so simple, it was genius. Let's make a snack with whole ingredients, stuff you can actually see and, pronounce, and put it in a clear wrapper. It was all about honesty. So he has this killer idea, but he doesn't go out and try to raise a ton of money for some flashy ad campaign. Nope, he started right from the bottom, hitting the streets to find out if anyone else actually wanted this. This was the grind, the super important validation phase. Yeah, in the startup world, you hear the term MVP a lot, minimum viable product. For a tech company, that's like a super basic version of an app. But for Kind, the MVP was the bar itself. It was the simplest, most stripped-down version of his idea that he could physically make to answer one question. Will people actually pay for this? And how did he test it? He literally went door to door. We're talking small, local mom-and-pop health food stores. No fancy focus groups, no big data. He was the first salesman. He'd just walk in, hand the owner a bar, and get that raw, unfiltered feedback right then and there. And let me tell you, those first 10 or 20 yeses he got, that was everything. That was the proof he needed that he was onto something big. Okay, so that early success gave him the confidence to go for the big leagues, a meeting with Whole Foods. That's the holy grail, right? But what happened next was this huge opportunity that came with a really harsh lesson. A lesson that, funnily enough, ended up being the best thing that ever happened to the brand. Just put yourself in his shoes for a second. After all that work, all that door-to-door grinding, you finally get the big meeting. And that's the feedback you get? Ouch. It was a total rejection. The buyer actually liked the product, but said the packaging just screamed amateur hour. But this is the pivot point in the story. Lubetzky didn't hear a no. He heard a not yet. He understood that this rejection wasn't the end of the road. It was actually a roadmap. It showed him his biggest weakness before he blew up, which, when you think about it, is an incredible gift. And so, he pivots. He takes that feedback seriously, sinks his remaining cash into professional branding, and what comes out of it is the iconic design we all recognize today. You have to remember, in a world full of shiny foil wrappers all hiding what's inside, this clean, transparent package was a complete game changer. It was honesty, right there on the shelf. And that one single change, the packaging, it unlocked everything. He goes back to Whole Foods, and this time, boom, a massive order. Then, a few years later, that same professional look helps him land a deal with Starbucks. Suddenly, Kind bars are at the checkout counter of pretty much every Starbucks in the country. And just like that, this little niche product goes completely mainstream. So you gotta ask, what was the secret sauce? What was the engine behind all this crazy growth? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was this amazing 4-part strategy that worked like a flywheel, where each piece pushes the next one, making the whole thing spin faster and faster on its own. First and foremost, that transparent wrapper. This was the strategy. That's it. It was a physical promise of what you see is what you get. In a crowded aisle, it was like a Trojan horse for trust. It just screamed honesty and quality without saying a single word.
Second, they were geniuses at placement. Their strategy was so simple. Just be everywhere a person might get hangry. They totally focused on those impulse buy spots, checkout counters at cafes, gyms, airports. By owning that little piece of real estate, they made Kind the easiest and best choice right at that moment of weakness we've all had.
Third was their marketing message, what they called the and proposition. Think about it. Before Kind, it was always healthy or tasty. You had to pick one. Kind came in and said, no, you can have both, healthy and tasty. By just refusing to accept that trade-off, they basically carved out a whole new category for themselves.
And finally, bringing it all full circle, they built a brand that was about more than just snacks. It tied right back to the founder's mission. That name, Kind, was no accident. They launched movements like Do the Kind Thing, and by doing that, they transformed buying a snack bar into a statement about your own values. People felt good buying it, and that built an incredibly passionate community.
All right, so let's break this down. What's the blueprint we can pull from this? If you have an idea for, say, a small batch artisanal product, what are the big lessons from Kind's incredible journey? Okay, here are the big takeaways. Number 1, your packaging is your product. For Kind, the wrapper told the whole story. Number 2, a no is just a not yet. That rejection was the best free advice they ever got. Number 3, start small and sell it yourself. Going door to door gives you feedback you can't get anywhere else. And finally, find your whale. For a physical product, landing one huge account, like a Whole Foods or a Starbucks, can change everything.
So I'll leave you with this. For Kind, the story was all about transparency, and they showed it. So the question for you is, what's the one thing your product needs to say to a customer? What's its story? And how can you make your packaging tell that entire story in the blink of an eye?